It's been 3 months since I got Bruce, so I figured we'd look at my expectations versus the reality of owning an Indonesian blue-tongued skink. Hey guys, and welcome to today's video. Now before I begin, I just want to say a few things. So number one, your experience may be totally different to mine because skinks have quite distinct personalities, not even subspecies to subspecies, but individual to individual. So I hope this just gives you a bit of what to expect, but it can vary a lot. Number two, I only handle Bruce at the moment maybe once or twice a week, and he's not the easiest to film with, so there may be quite a bit of footage from inside his tank on his spy camera. So sorry for the lack of pixels, but it will give you a glimpse into Bruce's secret life. And number three, I'm still very new to blue-tongued skinks, so if you do have any tips or tricks for me, feel free to leave them in the comments below. So in today's video I'm going to cover handling, general behaviour, feeding and diet, growth, husbandry and costs. Now handling, as I mentioned, I only really handle Bruce once or twice a week, and usually when I do this I have to lure him out with locusts, but I actually think he's outsmarting me now because I think he's catching on that that's what I do, so he doesn't always come out for locusts now. But oftentimes when I walk in the room, he scarpers off and goes in his hide, and those hides are partially buried. I'm not going to dig them up. I want him to have hides where he knows he's completely safe there. I can't get him. I want him to build his confidence that eventually he's like, actually, she's fine. I'm going to come out. I want to come out to explore. I want to be handled. That's fine. So my expectations for handling were both, I expected it to be easier and difficult at the same time. So I expected it to be a bit like my pink-tongued skink, where there are more opportunities where I can just scoop him up and handle him, but he might be hissy and defensive, and obviously blue-tongued skinks will sometimes open their mouth and show off their tongue. So I expected there to be more frequent handling and it to be difficult, whereas it doesn't happen very often, but he is super chill. Like once you just scoop him up, he'll like sit on my hand or he'll walk up my arm, and most times he will sit on my shoulder or my back, and like once he's up there I find it really difficult to reach him, and there's been a few times where I've been sat there for half an hour with him just sat on my back. Now he will vocalise. Sometimes, you know, you'll get a huff. He's a skink. You kind of expect them to hiss or huff or something, but what he'll also do is make this clicking whistling sound when he explores. Obviously, whenever you hear a sound like that, you want to look for anything coming out of their nose and that they're doing it voluntary. So if they're doing it constantly, every time they breathe, and there's sort of like bubbles near their nose, or that could be a respiratory issue, which we do not want. But with this, it's definitely voluntary whenever he explores. But the biggest difference between handling Bruce compared to any of my other reptiles is just he's so big. So last time I weighed him, he was 322 grams and about 15.5 inches long. So he's not really a lizard that, like with leopard geckos, you can go hand to hand to hand, so there's that repetitive little walk. No, he has a big body, and he's only getting bigger. So he's very cool to handle. He's very docile, and I've even managed to get my boyfriend to handle him a few times. So he tolerates handling really well. There's just a lot of him. Now, in terms of general behaviour, I wasn't 100% sure what to expect because I always heard Indonesian ones can be quite feisty, but that might be because those ones are wild caught, whereas he is captive bred. But before I got him, I did get to handle him, so I knew he was quite chill. That's something I really liked about him. I guess my only expectation was that maybe he wouldn't be as scared of me, like being a diurnal species and liking that heat and the light, like he'd probably lay out and I'd walk in the room and it wouldn't bother him. He wants to be out and about. He doesn't want to be hidden. Whereas I feel like for most blue-tongued skinks that is quite common for them to run off and hide. From everything I've read, that seems normal. So I don't know why I was expecting him to be more like Rex, my pink-tongued skink, who, you know, if you walk in the room, he'll stay out. He doesn't care that you're in there. He's really chill. So this is still early stages though. I've only had him 3 months, and actually he is getting better. Originally, if you heard the baby gate go, because I have a baby gate on the reptile room so the dogs can't just come in and out, he would hide because I could see that on his little secret camera. But now when I walk in, there's a pause. He thinks about it. and then he hides. So honestly, that's progress. That's progress in my eyes. Next, let's talk feeding and diet. So in comparison to my other skink, Rex, whose main diet is just snails, he won't eat anything else. Bruce's diet is far more interesting, which I kind of expected. So he'll eat all sorts. He'll eat locusts, murrowworms, snails. He even ate a fuzzy. Omnigold, he loves squash. He'll also eat defrosted frozen veg, so like sweet corn, peas, fine beans, carrots. He'll have blueberries. He's had a boiled egg. So I just try to keep things interesting for him by switching things up every day or every other day. And I find it quite fun, actually. I think for some people it might be too much. Like if you're used to just chucking in a few crickets or something, it might be a bit like, oh my god, I've got to think of something new to feed him. But actually it is quite fun. I will say he won't touch small or fast moving prey like crickets. He just can't be bothered with them. So from all that food, how much has he been growing and what did I expect? Now I've read that it's easy to accidentally power feed a blue tongue skink, which is not healthy for them. It's basically when people try to get them to grow to the adult size super quickly and then they end up being overweight, and getting a reptile to lose weight can be very difficult. So I was very conscious of this. Now I was originally advised to feed him daily or every other day. I have switched to every other day. That seems to work quite well. It really depends what I feed him though. Like for example, when he had that fuzzy, I didn't feed him like the next day. Like that's a big meal. But then other days he might have something lighter and then maybe have something the next day. So, you know, I mix it up a little bit. Now he gained 95 grams this past month. Now, coming from mainly owning geckos where you're excited when they gain 2 or 3 grams, 95 is crazy. So, yeah, prior to this, he was going up 50 grams a month as well. So this is really, I don't know, he must be going for a growth spurt. But yeah, the expectations in terms of his growth has been exceeded. Now for husbandry, I guess before I got him, I thought he'd probably dig up all the plants in his tank. I figured the cleanup crew for the most part would take care of his waste, but obviously I would keep an eye out for that. What I did not expect, and I don't know why I didn't expect this, not to be crude, but I did not expect his turds to be as big as they are. Now for the most part, as soon as I see one laid, I'm picking it up with toilet paper and flushing it down the loo, because you do not want that thing lingering. A few times I have found cleanup crew already on there, they devour it and it's gone. So occasionally I will leave one in there for them to devour overnight. I think if I did that with everyone, there would be backup, and we do not want that. That's not good air quality or anything. So I definitely keep on top of cleaning out his poop. As for the plants, I'm really surprised to say he hasn't even touched them. He hasn't trampled on them, dug them up or anything, so that has been really good. And overall, honestly, husbandry, not too difficult. As for costs, I thought potentially it could get quite expensive to feed him just because he eats a lot and quite a variety. However, the biggest cost has probably been locusts, just because you don't get that many. For the size locust he eats, you don't get that many in a box. So we go through like 3 boxes every week or 2. So, you know, we're getting through a lot. Other than that, using Omnigold and frozen thawed veg and fruit hasn't actually been very bad. That stuff actually works out quite cheap, and you can obviously like store the veg and fruit in the freezer. But I hope this video has helped. Subscribe if you haven't already, but thanks for watching guys, and goodbye.